Well, 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 it's actually true. William Regal appears to be jumping ship from AEW back to WWE, as indicated and rumored by a lot of people over the last couple of weeks due to what they've been doing with William Regal on television, and a lot of the rumors swirling around the wrestling community, and the crazy wrestling headlines of 2022 continue. My God. So William Regal is heading back. What's up, guys? This is an exclusive mic drop coming at you at a very late Sunday night. I had a scheduled watch-along plan tonight of Starrcade 1997, and we immediately had some technical difficulties. After some troubleshooting, it does turn out there is an outage in the area that is affecting the internet. It's been acting screwy all day, and we had to cancel the stream, and you have no idea how heartbreaking that is. In about 5 years of doing live streams on YouTube, we've only had this happen about 3, maybe 4 times where we've had to completely cancel something, and it's a heartbreaker when it happens. So I am going to make this right. One of the ways I'm going to make it right is to give you guys some thoughts on the big news today that was reported by Fightful Select, that all sources are indicating that William Regal is in fact gone from AEW and heading back to WWE. So you're going to get this little mic drop here, and on Monday night, my plan, provided everything works out with my internet, is to take things back old school a few years back and actually live react to Monday Night Raw on December 5th. So if you are watching this mic drop on Monday, I'm going to be live reacting to Raw tonight, just for shits and gigs, just to see if we can kick back and have some fun and try to make up for what happened last night on the Starrcade 1997 watch along. So I'm going to make up for the Starrcade 97 watch along. We're going to do that this week. I'll let you guys know in the future, but just wanted to apologize once again for those unfortunate technical difficulties, which can sometimes get you. But luckily, this is a recorded video, and I don't have to worry about any connection issues here. This will hit YouTube, and you guys can get my thoughts on William Regal. So Fightful Select dropped an article today talking about this situation and basically confirming that William Regal is in fact done. Of course, this past week on Dynamite, we saw MJF attack William Regal with the brass knucks, hit him in the back of the head. The ambulance took him away, and it does look like, from a fan perspective, like that is a pretty clear write-off of someone from TV. I mean, he betrayed his friend to align with someone who then betrayed him. Moxley a couple of weeks ago told Regal to run, and now MJF, who he was aligned with, has turned on him as well. There is no reason for him to be in AEW, and they basically ran him out of the company back to WWE. I really do like how AEW used William Regal in the end, which we will get into, but when we saw all of that happen, a lot of the fans were speculating, and everybody was speculating, that this could mean he's heading to WWE, because it did appear like he was written off in that segment. How and why would he even come back from this? I mean, he could make up and mend fences with Moxley, sure, but if you are going to write someone off TV, that is one hell of a way to do it. So that was pretty strong evidence right there, but still, the length of his contract was in question. Dave Meltzer this week was all over the place in his reporting. He talked about how initially it was believed that he had a 3-year deal, and then it was believed he had a 1-year deal, and then it was believed that his contract is up in December, which makes no sense. That means he signed a contract for 9 months. Why and who does that? So there's been a lot of speculation about his contract situation that still we don't really know about. All we know is he's probably gone from AEW, and according to Fightful Select, he is negotiating his deal with WWE as we speak. So let me read you this article really quick, and I quote, "William Regal is effectively done with All Elite Wrestling and is likely headed back to WWE, we are told. As we'd reported earlier this week, Fightful Select got word during WrestleCade weekend that William Regal's deal was coming up in December 2022, which led to him being written off television. Another AEW source told Fightful that after the MJF angle that ran last week, William Regal was, quote, done with AEW and set to leave the company. There have been several rumors on the length of Regal's current deal, which we can't really lend anything to. However, sources in AEW are all operating on the assumption that he's leaving, and WWE sources are operating on the assumption that he's rejoining the company. We don't have any details on the unusual length of the deal after he debuted back in March or any provisions associated. A WWE source said that it does not come as any surprise that William Regal is likely headed back because Triple H was, quote, very unhappy that Regal was let go in the first place. NXT sources had long told Fightful that William Regal was considered a lifer with that brand specifically, something that Triple H mentioned himself to us once. Those in WWE expect him to resume an advanced role similar to the one he had before, but that wasn't confirmed. In the moments since publishing the story, we're told Regal is finalizing a new deal with WWE. So excellent reporting there by Fightful Select. Go subscribe to Fightful Select. They always provide me with some pretty juicy news that I love to share on this podcast and this YouTube channel. And this is pretty huge news. I mean, my God, what a year this has been. Think about where William Regal was a year ago, freshly released after, appearing and assuming that he's going to be a lifer in WWE. He goes to AEW, and before we're even at the end of the year, we're not even at Christmas yet, he is back in the company. So many questions here, so much speculation, so much to wonder about what all this means, how he left AEW, how he was able to leave AEW, and what his role is going to be in WWE. We're going to talk about all of that. So the perception from AEW is that he is gone and headed back to the company. So if that is the case, as we've talked about on the podcast here and streams over the past couple of weeks, I have been bringing up his contract length every single time because all of these different reports we're hearing about the December and the 1 year and the 3 year, I'm like, the December thing doesn't make sense. I believe it was Meltzer who mentioned that he likely has an out clause or an opt-out. And we never really speculated about an opt-out, but we did speculate about potentially him approaching Tony Khan, asking for a release, and Tony Khan giving it to him out of respect. Now, I had said if Regal had only signed a 1 year deal and his deal is up in March, I can't see William Regal being that impatient where he couldn't wait out another 4 months and just fulfill his commitments and leave. So what made more sense to me is that he signed a multi-year deal, or he signed a very short-term deal, or he signed something with an out clause. And considering the history between William Regal and Triple H, they go way, way, way back prior to WWE days. Knowing the two of them and their relationship, it's not surprising at all, not only that William Regal is headed back there, but if William Regal did have that opt-out clause that said, hey, if WWE wants me back or if I want to go back, I can do that. And Tony Khan grants that clause because he's William Regal. He's a legend. You're not going to live and die by what Regal does. So he's kind of affordable in that way. You can use him and get the most out of him. But if he leaves, it's not going to crumple your company. And given who Regal is and the respect he has among everybody in the wrestling business across all promotions, why wouldn't Tony Khan honor that request or grant that request? So Triple H very well could have given William Regal a heads up. We did hear that about a lot of that released talent. Some of them were told, hey, stay close. Don't lock yourself up into any long-term deal. If I can get you back here, I will. Now, Triple H, I don't know if he necessarily informed William Regal about the scandal or not, but I firmly believe Triple H knew what Vince was up to, knew there was a scandal coming, and maybe in Triple H's head, he knew that, oh man, the big man's probably not going to be able to survive this one, and when he's gone, that's going to provide me an opportunity to bring a lot of guys back. So maybe he whispered in Regal's ear, hey, go make some money, go do whatever you want, take care of your family, but try to get an opt-out if you can, because I could always bring you back, and just keep that in mind. I wouldn't be surprised at all if a conversation between those two like that happened, or if it was a text message or something like that. Triple H, of course, was leaning into these rumors too, tweeting out the War Games montage by William Regal the day of Survivor Series, which was pretty cool. So we've been hearing these rumors about Regal coming back. I've been pretty indifferent on the matter in terms of how I feel about it, because I'm just a William Regal fan. In general, I want the best for William Regal, and I want William Regal to be happy. I don't care where he works. Wherever he wants to work, he's earned that right to work anywhere he wants in terms of, me as a fan. He can choose whatever he wants to do. So given the fact that he was already in the company for 20 years and his relationship with Triple H is in charge now. He can be Triple H's right-hand man. You know how Bruce Pritchard basically was to Vince, or Pat Patterson was to Vince, but Bruce is currently, maybe push Bruce out and get William Regal in there. He could also be used for a lot of talent development and going back to NXT where he was before, where his son is. He can be hands-on with his son's development. He can be closer to his son. It might come down to that. Some people have mentioned his travel. He would be based and stationed in Florida, so he wouldn't be traveling all the time. But AEW is only running 1, maybe 2 shows a week if Rampage happens to be live, and then you have your pay-per-views every 4 months. It's not like they're doing a ton of house shows and Ring of Honor's running shows, and William Regal is traipsing all over the globe back and forth. That's not happening at all. His travel is pretty light as it is. It probably has nothing to do with the travel or anything specific, or some of those rumors we've heard about Regal being turned off by the immature management. I know a lot of fans want that to be true because the tribalism kicks in, and we've seen the arguing and the bullshit online all day about this regarding William Regal and people bitching about why he left. And of course, the haters want to believe with all of their hearts so badly that he was disgusted by the day-to-day operations of AEW and they're immature and the EVPs and Tony Khan, and it's just a big fucking mess there. Get over yourselves. I think it's much more likely that it has nothing to do with that, and it has everything to do with WWE being a better place for him. And maybe some of those things contributed, but even if everything was just fucking peachy backstage, you had no issues, and Tony Khan was more respected than Stu Hart back there, even if everything was 1,000,000,000% perfect, I still think WWE might be the better place for William Regal, given the history he has with the head of creative and the CEO and the family and his kid being there and all of the years he's already put in there as a main roster, personality and talent. GM on NXT that he could always return to. I guarantee you he will be the one to announce the War Games match next year. 1,000,000,000%. Go to Vegas right now and put some money on that. So he could do a number of different things in WWE. He's built such a big career there, kind of late in his career. He got there in his mid-30s, and spent the next 20 years there. He's a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a major part of WWE and that family, probably until he dies. So, not that Tony Khan wasn't great to him or AEW was a good place for him. They used him marvelously. I saw some people talk about that. Maybe if AEW used people better. Oh my gosh. They used him just fine. He was a main roster personality. He wasn't on the main roster in WWE. He was a main roster personality working with 2, count 'em, world champions, and Jon Moxley and MJF before his exit. So, and his debut was fantastic at Revolution when he came out there in the Moxley and the Danielson match, and that was so good. And his whole year there was a lot of fun. His flirting with Excalibur on commentary, I enjoyed every minute of William Regal on AEW television, just like I've enjoyed every minute of him on NXT television or anything he's ever done in WWE. I enjoy him regardless of what he's doing, but in AEW, I thought he was used marvelously. And some people are surprised that they had him associated in such a top storyline when he's actually jumping to WWE. But really, when you look at it, it's about maximizing your investment. They're paying him, aren't they? He's there to do a job. Might as well get the most out of him. That certainly was an angle that was very well done. It was a swerve that a lot of people are going to talk about. And who knows how you can call back to it in the future. You might have MJF's next promo this Wednesday on Dynamite. He might say something to the effect, "Oh yeah, Regal, you think you ran away from me, but don't worry, you're going to be seeing me sooner than you think," implying that maybe when his contract is up in 2024, he's going to come to WWE to make Regal and Cody's life miserable. All of these people that he used on his path to get to what he wanted and what he desired, and that is the AEW World title. He used people one after another to achieve his goals. So then if he comes and jumps to another promotion to continue to torment them, that could be a lot of fun too. It was a great way to use William Regal, and it was the right way to do it, because you used to see that back in the day when somebody would leave WCW for WWF or vice versa. They would usually job out or lose some sort of a, embarrassing match, 1, 2, 3 kid with the crybaby match and all that stuff. Ted DiBiase losing the strap match in the Savio Vega Austin match and being sung out of the arena. Bobby Heenan getting thrown out by Gorilla Monsoon the night after Survivor Series in 1993. A lot of people leave in a humiliating fashion or get jobbed out or whatever. I think that's a lot of what they did here with Regal, is they made him a disgraced legend, somebody who had respect, was the advisor or manager, if you will, of a great faction, a tough faction in the Blackpool Combat Club. And he strikes a deal with the devil and betrays all of these people that he has mentored and developed relationships with, and made a deal with this slimeball MJF. And then MJF turns on him, leaving Regal with nothing. There really is no storyline reason for William Regal to stay in AEW. He's burned the previous bridge, and, you know, then his new home, of course, burns down as well, and he's got nowhere to go. The only place he can go is to tuck his tail between his legs and run right back to WWE. So they did all of that and executed it right. You know, that was an excellent way to write him off of TV. I was skeptical because I was like, that means that he's got to get out of his contract somehow, and that just doesn't make any sense, but now it kind of does. So why did he leave? I think it's just because there is a better business opportunity for himself and his family in WWE. He probably, I'm sure, did not want to leave there to begin with. So this is a great example for all the fans out there that want to hate on one company and praise the other, or shit on one and love the other, or believe only one should be here. This is why competition is great, because William Regal was fired from a job, and he got, instead of sitting home and making no money for 9 months, he got to go get paid for 9 months. He basically didn't lose any income at all. He was able to go make money during the break and then come back. That's what competition is all about. You saw that back in the day too with WCW and WWE. People would bounce left and right, and some guys would bounce more than once. And I'm happy Regal found himself in a situation where he can go back to WWE. So hopefully we will get some news in the upcoming days about his contract situation and what led to this, because I'm very curious if it was a situation where he had an opt-out clause and he can just exercise that and get out, and Tony Khan just granted him that because, you know, why wouldn't he? You still get a chance to use William Regal, opt-out clause or not. Regal has a ton of respect in the industry. It's not like he has a history of fucking over promoters and being sketchy and shit. There's no reason to do that. And if somebody like William Regal comes to you and says, hey, look, Sunshine, I loved it here, but I want to go back to WWE, as if you're Tony Khan, you're granting that man that request. It's one thing if it's a big talent that you need and you're not ready to let go because WWE can use them against you or something like that. That's one thing. But in Regal's case, I think it would be really shitty if Tony Khan denied that, if he did not have an out clause. So if he didn't have an out clause and his deal was a multi-year deal and he approached Tony Khan and said, will you let me out? And Tony Khan just does it out of respect, I could see that being the case as well. But we really don't know there. I think we might find out eventually. Regal does have a podcast, I believe. At some point, I'm sure he will talk. It's not like this is a really controversial situation. It's not like Brawl Out or Scrumgate where there's going to be an NDA or a gag order or anything ridiculous like that. I'm sure this was a completely professional business relationship that has concluded, and both parties are parting ways with no hard feelings. That's the way this looks to me as a fan. I don't think there's going to be any heat on William Regal. I'm certain that Moxley or MJF or somebody's going to bring up Regal about running him off or whatever. Like I said, MJF could say on Wednesday, but I'm sure they might throw a little bit of shade because that's just kind of what you have to do. But internally, I personally don't believe there's going to be any heat on William Regal with Tony Khan or Moxley or MJF or AEW in general. I think this is just one man's decision to work somewhere else, and I really don't think it's that big of a deal at all. And I'm happy and excited that Regal gets to go back to a place that he never should have been let go from in the first place. I mean, when you think about it, everything William Regal did in AEW was great and everything, but he shouldn't have been there. He was let go under Vince because Vince is a fucking idiot, and Triple H was extremely upset about that. Now William Regal is back. He can resume his role and be back in the company, probably to stay. And hopefully everything works out well for his kid in NXT as well, and he develops well and, becomes a star. Hoping for it, rooting for it. Why wouldn't you? We will keep our eye on this story and see if we get any indication of when we might get a debut date. Also, if there's going to be any sort of a non-compete clause, because the reports are kind of implying that he's going to be having a backstage role, but he might also have an on-air role. I would love to see William Regal as a general manager. I think that even though GMs can wear out their welcome, sometimes they're useful, and the product does feel like it could use some right now. And maybe a GM role under Triple H, even though Triple H was part of the Authority, which sucked, maybe a GM role under the creative guidance of Triple H won't be so bad and won't be so down your throat or so terrible like it has been in the past. If they're able to bring something like that together, I would love to see William Regal be a GM of one of the brands, or perhaps just take Adam Pearce's job, or remain down in NXT as someone there, working with the talent and appears on TV in NXT sometimes. And I'm curious if perhaps his no compete would involve something like, okay, you can go and work for WWE right away, but you can't appear on TV for 3 months, 6 months, something like that. But if you have a behind the scenes job, that's cool. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Triple H might bring William Regal in right away to begin his work behind the scenes in NXT or in developmental. And then after a little bit of time passes, we might see Regal actually appear on camera. We might see a scenario play out kind of like that. It should be fun seeing what William Regal does in WWE. And of course, we are huge William Regal fans on this channel, and we just wish him the best no matter where he is. Hopefully you guys feel the same. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon. Peace.